Happy Instagram Live. Happy Sunday. This is Julia Linn, and you know me as Dolphinine on Instagram. So I asked you guys your biggest fitness challenges, and it had been a while since I'd done an Instagram Live, and I got some great questions, great challenges that everybody's going through. You know, they seem to go in categories, certain buckets, like not enough time. What about motivation? I'm not consistent. Food, nutrition. Not a lot of challenges around training itself other than like being consistent. But I did get one a message that I just want to read because it's so typical, I think, of where we find ourselves, where I found myself, or where you might find yourself. So she says, I'm wondering if you can remember way back when you first started, how long it took to see results. I've been counting macros with increased protein, keeping to moderate calories, etc. My nutrition's dialed in, and I've added a 3-mile walk and weights 3 times per week. But in the 3 weeks since I've started, I've actually gained about 3 pounds. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, WTF. This is what discourages me. Is this normal? All right, is this normal? Ladies, queenagers, what do you expect in 3 days or 3 weeks? What do you expect? That is an unrealistic expectation, number one. The WTF of it is really about your mindset. What do you expect in 3 weeks? You know, I've often used the example of it taking 9 months to birth a baby. Sperm fertilizes egg. Nature takes over. This precious being's soul chariot gets formed in mama's belly. It takes 9 months and then maybe 3 more months for this little being to kind of, you know, look around and say, oh my gosh, here I am. Sometimes they come out and they're like, oh, here I am. They're very aware. But think about that, a year, 9 months to a year, and you want to change your body in 3 weeks? It's not happening. When did I see results? I would say that's maybe the wrong question. The question might be more accurate. When did you feel results? I felt good after the first day I started lifting weights. My body got the message that we're going to take care of you, we're going to get strong, we're going to build muscle. I was not on a timeline. I was not scale watching. I was not trying to figure out why the scale's going up and down, especially early on. Your body is adjusting to something new. It could have inflammation. It could be letting go of inflammation. If you had a hard workout, your muscles are going to retain water. If you didn't get enough sleep the night before, your body's also going to have a different composition in the morning. It might show up on the scale. You have not gained 3 pounds of fat, but you have gained a lot of false beliefs about what it takes to get fit. It takes time, and it also takes taking your mind off the scale. I think it's super terrific that you have your nutrition dialed in. You're going to the gym 3 times a week. You're walking 3 miles a day. Do that for 6 months. And then, if you haven't seen a change, then some tweaks need to happen. But if you're going to be consistent with that for 6 months, you're going to see results. 3 weeks ain't nothing. You're not going to see much of anything. But how do you feel after 3 weeks? Are you sleeping better? Are you less grumpy? Are you in better mood? You know, are you feeling your sex life has gone up a little bit? You know, there are other ways to gauge success. Gaining 3 pounds is not, it's like a false positive or a false negative. It means nothing. So that's a mindset work that needs to be done, where you don't have unreal expectations about what you expect your body to do in 3 weeks. And of course it's discouraging if that's all you're looking for. oftentimes I find that women, after 3 months, they still haven't seen the results they expect. They're discouraged and disappointed, so they stop. They give up. They give up right when their body's just now getting used to the new behavior, the new beliefs, the new consistency, the new dosing of food. So it's a little bit of tough love. So if I were talking to my very own sister and we were having coffee and she told me that, I would say, who are you kidding? 3 weeks? What do you expect in 3 weeks? Of course, I would only talk to my sister like that because she knows I love her and I'm not bashing her. So I want to give that message a little more gently to my followers, but this is the crux, that we have unrealistic expectations of our body. You're not 20 anymore, you're not 30, eating a little less, moving a little more. You used to take 10 pounds off, right? Like that, easily. Not anymore. And some of the other questions and things I've gotten from people about eating, and I do this, I've been doing this, I haven't been getting this result. All I can say is if you've been consistent and you've been dialing in your nutrition and you've been doing your workouts, you will see results eventually. If you're asking yourself, what, it's not working, I'm not seeing results, you haven't waited long enough. I've often shared, it took me 4 months to lose, 3 to 4 months to lose 10 pounds in the beginning. I could have given up. I could have been discouraged, but I knew that I was in it for the long haul. Your goal needs to be health. If it's only losing weight, you're going to give up because it's not going to happen fast enough for you. And if your only goal is losing weight, that means you're disgusted with your body and all you want to do is look better in your body. You just want to lose that weight. You want to get out of this body you don't feel good in. That's also not sustainable. But if your goal is to be healthy, you'll do whatever it takes to get healthy. And while you're doing that and you are implementing new habits and changing your self-beliefs that you can do this, it's going to happen, it's going to come, but not in a timeline that you decide it's going to happen. Our bodies can't respond that quickly. And someone also asked, how do I build muscle and get strength after unintended weight loss? So I'm assuming maybe she got ill and lost a lot of weight and wants to build back her strength and build muscle. And that's exactly where I was after my organ transplant. I currently weigh 105 pounds, which a healthy 105 pounds. After my transplant, I weighed 105 pounds, a very unhealthy 105 pounds. I had no muscle. I had no fat. I was like a little bird. I mean, I'd look in the mirror after a shower and just think, and my belly was distended because that's where they put the organs, but I just felt like I looked like a frail little old lady. So the number on the scale does not dictate really whether you're healthy or not. I'm a very healthy 105 now. I was a very unhealthy 105 after my surgery. So getting back to her question, how do you build after unintended weight loss? The way you would do anything, be consistent, eat a lot of protein, get your protein up, at least 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. So if your ideal body weight is 120, you want 120 grams of protein a day, and you want to spread it out. And this is where macros kind of count, because you're breaking food up into protein, carb, and fat. And you want to get enough protein, you don't want to get too much fat, and you want to feed your muscles with carb. Carbs are not bad. They're really good. So if it's 120 grams of protein a day, you split that up, 30 grams at each meal. What is that? It's 4 to 6 ounces of meat. Or it can be cottage cheese, or it can be Greek yogurt. All kinds of, fish, chicken, lean beef. And then you can supplement with a protein powder. So usually a scoop of a high quality protein powder is maybe, 20 to 30 grams. You could put that in a smoothie. There's so many ways, egg whites, liquid egg whites. There's so many ways to get protein. We have not prioritized protein. This is the key to building muscle. Protein and the right amount of carbs to feed your workout and feed your muscles after your workout, and not too much fat. I always feel like macros can be overwhelming. I did not start with macros. I started with like a portion control program where I just made sure I ate 5 meals a day. I made sure that they were, spaced out 2 to 3 hours so my blood sugar was level. I would eat protein the size of my palm, carb the size of my fist, like a sweet potato or, 3/4 cup of rice. And 2 of those meals I'd have cupped hands worth of vegetables, either steamed or salad, and 1 tablespoon of oil a day. I would do that 6 days in a row, 5 meals a day, always protein and carb together, always, never carb alone, protein at every meal. And then on Sunday, I wouldn't worry too much. I would just eat in a moderate way. I wouldn't be concerned with the, exact portions or whatever, because I was eating in a calorie deficit for 6 days, but not starving because my blood sugar was level. Then on Sunday, I don't know, if I wanted a brunch with my husband, I'd have it. If I want a fancy meal at night, I'd have it at a restaurant. I wouldn't worry about it. And it did 2 things for me. Number 1, I knew I could eat what I wanted on Sunday within reason, to be moderate, not to binge. So I knew I could delay gratification if I was feeling hungry or deprived during the week. It's like, okay, on Sunday, I get to have what I want. The other amazing thing that happens is when you're in a calorie deficit like that, and then you do a calorie dump, like you eat more food than you normally would in those 6 days, your metabolism gets really happy and it fires up. It's like throwing gasoline on a fire. Very often you'll lose a pound or 2 right after that. This is something bodybuilders know when they're in a cut or a build. So building is when you eat more to build muscle. You keep the carbs within reason and the fat within reason, but you bring up the protein. You might bring up the carbs too, but you keep the fat within reason. And you're putting on weight, yes, but you're building muscle. You're feeding your body to build that muscle. Then, depends on your coach, 12 to 20 weeks before a contest, you go into a cut where you bring down the calories pretty low. And low meaning that low that is not recommended and is not sustainable for all time. Like diets give you 1,000 to 1,200 calories. That's not sustainable and it's not healthy. But that might be what you're doing in a cut for anywhere from 8 to 16 weeks. And what happens is, your body lets go of the fat and it reveals the muscle that you built when you were eating more calories. You might get to a point, this happens with bodybuilders all the time in contest prep, where you tell your coach, I'm feeling really depleted, and your muscles look flat and you're not feeling good. And your coach will say, okay, let's do a refeed. Maybe the refeed is a week. Maybe it's a day. Maybe it's 2 days. Maybe it's 3 days. Go eat a hamburger and fries. Go eat normally. Eat at your maintenance now for the next week or whatever. You end up dropping 2 pounds. It's like your metabolism slows way down and stops burning the food efficiently and doesn't want to let go of anything because it thinks you're starving it. And then you do a refeed and it's like, oh yeah, my metabolism just needed to be woken up. So that's kind of the build-cut cycle. If you're not a bodybuilder, I don't believe, or a competitive bodybuilder, I don't believe that macros are necessary, especially if you've got 30, 40, 50 pounds to lose. There's no point in dialing it in on that level until you get rid of more body fat and you start building more muscle. There will be a certain point that you plateau and you're like, okay, what do I do? That's when you start dialing it in with your macros, and you start dialing it in with how much you're eating. Because as you eat less, your body's gonna need less food. I also got a lot of questions about, body fat, like thigh fat, belly fat, crepey skin on the arms, and back fat, and bat wings, and I had all that. And I still have some crepey skin. That just happens as we age. Just moisturize, drink a lot of water, don't worry about it. Be more worried about your heart health and what the food you're putting in your body, what it's doing to your cardiovascular system. It's, skin is an organ too. Mine has snapped back a little bit. In 4 years, though, in 4 years, I've not had any surgery, and I'm gonna state this again. I've never had plastic surgery, not had a facelift, not had a tummy tuck. I've had no loose skin removed, and it used to annoy me when women would ask me that. It would, first of all, and I've not had breast implants. I would say, would they come up to me on the street and ask me that? It used to really annoy me, and I'd be insulted because I'd think, what, did they believe you can't do this on your own? But here's the thing. With all the filters on Instagram, what are we supposed to believe? And now with chat, IPT, and artificial intelligence and how images can be manipulated, we don't know. And plus, you only know me from my posts. You don't know me from my daily life. Do I live with integrity? Am I an honest, authentic person? You might have a sense of that, but you don't really know. So how can you trust what you see on Instagram? So I stopped being annoyed with that question because it's an honest question. Women see these impossible bodies on Instagram that have been filtered, photoshopped, and then it's a woman's choice if she wants to get implants or plastic surgery. And I'm all for that if it makes her feel better. That's not for me myself. I've had enough surgery that I don't want to go under the knife for something like that. But for another woman, it may make all the difference to her. But I'm honest about it, and it doesn't annoy me any. Sometimes it annoys me, but most of the time it doesn't. Because I want women to know you don't need to go to those extremes. That what you see is what you get with me. And yes, I still have belly wrinkles. I got all kinds of wrinkles on my face. I got crepey skin. I don't care. I'm alive at 66. I go to the gym and I kick ass with weights. Who freaking cares if I have belly wrinkles? Or my boobs are not perky. I mean, we can do stuff with bras and all that, but it's so insignificant to me. So it doesn't bother me anymore because what it does is it tells women, yes, you can do this. I did it. Where's my bat wings and my back fat and my belly? I have wrinkled belly because I did have a distended belly. And I had a competitor, a friend that I competed with in the 60 plus category, and I asked her about it. I said, I have these wrinkles on my belly, and she said, they'll eventually go away. It could take 3 years. And it's been about 2 years now, and they've diminished. Anyway, wrinkles. That's a badge of honor that we made it this far. Okay. Someone else said they're traveling in an RV with their small dog. And I'm wondering, so is that your fitness challenge? If that was you, or you want to know the answer to that, I would say you follow my friend Trish. This Phoenix Rising is her, some of you probably already know her, is her Instagram. She did her whole first fitness journey from an RV. And she was like maybe 80 pounds overweight. And she's got video of how she did it, and she's terrific. You should follow her on Instagram. Extra skin around your waist, the exercise for crepey skin on your arm. There is no exercise that's going to target a body part. You need to lose fat all over. And let me tell you, the first year that I lost fat, there was muscle nowhere to be found. Even though I was working out, and that's really what helped me lose the fat. I got on stage in 2021. It took me 2 years to get fit enough to get on stage and compete. And I was I was that scrawny little bird again. I weighed 98 pounds. I had no muscle. I looked pathetic. When I look now, I'm like, really? I had the nerve to do that? But anyway, so the last 2 years I've been building muscle. And now my stage weight might be 103, 105, which is about 5 pounds more. Is 5 pounds of that muscle? Yes, and it's redistributed itself on my body along with holding on to a little body fat, because you can't get so low. Your body fat being super, super low is not healthy. People are going to tell you you don't build muscle after a certain age, but you do decrease your muscle mass by 3% after age 50. So if you keep going as you are without lifting weights, you are degenerating by the year by losing muscle. And the only way to maintain the muscle or build more is to lift weights and to lift heavy. So if you say to me, I haven't been able to build muscle and I'm going to the gym 3 times a week and I'm walking 3 miles a day, I would have to say that's probably not the right routine for you. How heavy are you lifting? How long are you lifting? Is 3 days enough? 3 days, 30 minutes in the gym probably is not enough. 45 minutes, 5 days in the gym lifting heavy, I would say work towards that target. And you don't want to do too much cardio. You want to, keep your cardiovascular health at a certain level, especially 50 plus menopausal women. But if you do too much cardio, you're going to burn fat. You're also going to burn muscle. You're going to lose that muscle that you have so carefully built. So I do not recommend high intensity interval training. If you love it and you get results, don't listen to me. But what I'm saying is you can be wrecked for the rest of the day if you do high intensity interval training, which is going all out for 40 seconds, all out for 20 seconds, moderate for 40, and you do like 10 to 20 cycles of that. Your body doesn't like it. And mentally, I don't like it. What I like is low impact steady state, which is like a walk. 20 to 45 minutes on the treadmill with an incline or outside, brisk walk. That's about all the cardio you need, unless you like riding your bike, you like swimming, you like hiking. Do what you love. That's more important than really the kind of cardio. People also said what the fitness challenge is just getting started. This is a mindset issue. Why are you frozen? You want to get fit? You want to have a body you're confident in? Why aren't you starting? What is keeping you in a stuck state? Why is it okay to wake up every morning and say, I hate my belly fat, I have no energy, I don't look good in my clothes, I have no body confidence, I really want to get fit. And then you just keep doing what you're doing and you can't get started. That's a mindset issue. That's where you have to start. If someone hands you a workout program and a nutrition plan, that's not going to help you get started. You need to go inside and figure out what it is that's preventing you from changing your belief system. Your belief system that says, I don't deserve it, I'm not worthy, I don't, And there's a lot of valid reasons why we feel that way. Messages from childhood, women that have been sexually abused, where body fat is armor, it's protection. There's a lot of different reasons that are valid, but at a certain point they become excuses that we don't want to look at. And they aren't easy to look at. They aren't. To actually face some of the stuff we've carried around for a lifetime as women, things that society has put on us, ex-partners, parents who did their best but maybe didn't know better. I mean, being bullied in school, being called fat one time in your life as a young woman can devastate you for the rest of just one time. So dig that stuff up and realize it has no value. It does not reflect who you are. It cannot affect you anymore. Just say, I'm not available for that anymore. It takes courage to look inside and say, what am I doing to stop myself? I have no time. I don't have money for a coach. Everything hurts. I mean, these sound like valid excuses, but if you go behind those excuses, there's a fear there. What's the fear? What is the fear that you have? And the one about, I don't have money for a coach, the fear may be, I've paid too many coaches and too many diet programs, and I've never seen them through. I'm not going to fail again and waste my money. The fear is you're going to fail again. So there's always a fear belief behind what you can't do. I don't have time. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? And I know that if you've got small children and you work, it seems impossible. But I have seen 20, 30-year-old young moms with 3 toddlers work out with their kids, lifting the kids and doing, using the kids as props, having the kids exercise with them, fitting it in. Who doesn't have 30 minutes a day to get off your butt, to quit scrolling on Instagram? I'm guilty of this too. Playing games or scrolling on the internet to move your body. We've got 30 minutes a day. That's nothing. And the investment of those 30 minutes into your body and your health, you can't even measure it. So time can't be an excuse. There's a way to prioritize your life to make the time without disrupting everybody around you. And if you're always taking care of other people and not taking care of yourself, you're not doing your best for those other people, your loved ones. The more you take care of yourself, the more you can take care of your loved ones. So getting started again, just one thing a day. How about a 15-minute walk? If you have a dog, take your dog for a 15-minute walk first thing in the morning. If you don't have a dog, just get up out of bed, put on your shoes, get out the door, 15 minutes, come home. You're not even awake yet. And you're like, oh my God, I just did 15 minutes of exercise. Congratulate yourself. Don't be stuck. There's no reason to be stuck. It's all up here is why you're stuck. Figure out why you're stuck. What is the fear behind staying where you are? And I think, I've looked a lot at my mom's generation and talked to a lot of women who have mothers also that grew up, were born in the 30s and 40s and kind of came of age post 60s, so they weren't part of that whole emancipation thing. In the 60s, they were a little bit ahead of that, so they never got the women's rights bug, feminism or whatever. And so they kind of just accepted their lot. And one of the things about that generation is we don't talk about our feelings. We just don't. It's a weakness. We don't talk about it. We don't acknowledge them. We don't talk about it. So everything was kind of surface. But we don't live in that kind of era now because a lot of us grew up with mothers like that, realized how harmful it was for us to stuff our feelings with food, and worked on it and pulled up some of the stuff and these false ideas we had. And we love our mothers for what they did. Honestly, when I think about what my mom went through, oh my God. She was tough. She was my best teacher. But she didn't give me the love I recognized as needing. But what she went through, my God. She deserves to be in the highest heaven, really. Losing a daughter to cancer at age 6 colored her whole world. How can anyone be blamed for that? All right, what about getting motivated? Motivation and fatigue. Find out why you're fatigued. Why are you tired? A lot of times it's the nutrition. Or you might have some other hormone imbalance. See your doctor, get your blood drawn, figure out if there's anything systemic with your blood that's making you tired. Maybe you have a vitamin deficiency. Don't just sit at home and go, I'm not motivated because I'm fatigued. Find out why you're fatigued. Don't be afraid to go to the doctor. There's a lot of people that don't go to the doctor because they're afraid of what the doctor's going to say. Go to the doctor. Get your hormones checked. especially if you're peri or postmenopause. That can fix a lot of issues. And I'm not one to say what issues or what takes place after that. All I'm saying is go see your doctor. It's an excellent resource. Finding a coach. In fact, someone said finding a coach in person like I have. I'm so blessed to have the coach that I have. And during the pandemic, I had online coaches. And there's benefits to both. If you're a competitor, an athlete, I think having a coach in person is really important because they can look at your body and tell what you need to do to get competition ready. An online coach is also, there's a lot of benefits that you don't, you're not reliant on necessarily going to the gym and scheduling time and all this. So you just have to find what works for you. But if you want to find a local coach, I would check out all the gyms in your area, and if you don't have gyms in your area, then you're going to have to check out online coaches. And you need to find one that fits your personality. I treat my clients the way I like to be treated, and the way I treat myself, which is with loving kindness, encouragement, not cracking the whip, not being all or nothing. Some women need coaches like that. Some women need coaches who are hard on themselves, so they're hard on their clients. So there is no good or bad coach. It's just the one that fits you. But I would go to every gym in your city or your town and talk to whoever owns the gym, ask them if they have trainers at the gym, ask how much they cost, and just interview people. Ask friends that work out, or walk up to somebody you see on the street that looks like they work out and say, do you have a coach? Do you have a trainer? Can I ask you, talk to people, ask them. Referrals are the best. It's best to get a referral from somebody or look at testimonials and see, well, why should I even consider this person? And then you're never committed unless you're in a program online. If you hire a coach to train you 2 or 3 times a week, if you don't like that coach, you don't have to keep going. Find another coach. Let's see. Here's another one. I'm at a good weight after 3 years of working out and healthy eating, having a hard time building muscle. Okay, what I see about that fitness challenge is being at a good weight. What does that mean? You like the number on the scale? Being at a good weight. If you don't see muscle and you don't have that pretty muscle shape that, and I'm always working on mine. I could actually build a lot more muscle, and I'm working on that. Sometimes I think I'm a little too lean, but, being at a good weight, that kind of means I like the number on the scale. If you don't look at that number on the scale and think of it as being at a good weight, you're going to be eating more food to build muscle. That's why you're not building muscle. You're not eating enough, whatever you're doing. Are you restricting carbs? Are you thinking carbs are bad? I don't want to eat carbs because I don't want to gain weight. You aren't going to gain weight. You're going to gain muscle if you eat the right carbs. Like my coach would always say to me, he wants to know how much I weigh every morning just so we see what the trends are. It's not a good or a bad number. And he's told me innumerable times, it's not what you weigh, it's how you look. And that means in terms of getting on stage. Are my muscles flat? They can change day to day depending on how much sodium, how much carb, how much water. And, you could work really hard to be in a competition, and that day comes, and if your coach doesn't know what he or she is doing, you can get on stage and look flat. Whereas if he or she knows what they're doing the few days before, you're going to up your carb intake, you're going to lower your sodium, you're going to restrict your water so that your muscle bellies fill and swell up. So being at a good weight means nothing. And that's sort of from a bodybuilder perspective. So if that's all you're worried about, you're worrying about the wrong thing. Don't be afraid of putting on 5 or 10 pounds. Make it muscle. And if you don't go for the sugary carbs and you prioritize protein and you keep your fat levels low, and that's low is 35 to 50 grams a day, which is plenty of fat, then you're going to build muscle. Don't worry about what the number on the scale says. Worry about what your body looks like. Are you building muscle? And if you're not, you're probably not eating enough carbs or enough protein. Being patient while building muscle, that's another fitness challenge. And like I said, that's probably the number one attribute you need is patience. Patience. And nothing teaches us patience in this day and age. I can order something from Amazon in the morning, it's at my door in the afternoon. That's ridiculous. You know, it's ridiculous that we get that quick satisfaction. It's wonderful and convenient, but we think then everything's got to be like this. And sometimes when I post before and after pictures, okay, this is me 4 years ago, 145, 142 pounds. This is me today, 105 pounds, 40-pound weight loss next to each other. It's a blink of an eye. You go from left to right. It's like, oh my God. That was 4 years of dedicated nutrition, dedicated strategies about my food, dedicated working out 5 days a week, doing cardio, finding out what works and what doesn't work. Also, doing a cut, doing a build, doing another cut, doing another build. Now I'm in another cut. So my body's getting used to all these food strategies because I have a result I'm going for, which is to be on stage and compete, which honestly is just fun for me. Whether I win or lose, my ego's not in it. It's just something I can work towards. I've always got to have something to work towards, even if I'm going to have a vacation in 2 months. I have to have something to look forward to. And those shows I look forward to. So that's 4 years from left to right. But the mind goes, oh my God, I want that now. I want that right now. It doesn't work that way. And the older we are in our physical body, it takes more time. It can do it. There's no way it's not going to do it, but it takes more time. Finding the patience to let it happen. It's kind of like, when you stop looking for something, it comes right in front of you. It's right there, when you stop looking for something. And I experienced this in a lot of ways in my life. Like, I never thought I was going to meet the right guy. I always knew there was the one out there for me. And I had a terrible first marriage. And I had very, how can I say, unhealthy relationships with the opposite sex because of my own low self-esteem issues. I didn't expect to be treated well because I didn't treat myself well. I thought that's what I deserved. So I went for toxic masculinity. That's what I was attracted to. Men who were possessive, unkind, controlling, except for my very first love. And Lewis, who I talk about in my book. And he died young. But after that, not good with men. I never thought I was ever going to meet, after that first divorce, 10.5 months, I'll never meet anyone to love me. I just won't. It's not going to happen. And I stopped looking and I stopped making myself available. You know how it is, Queenagers, when we were younger, we do things for the male gaze. We fix ourselves up a certain way. We act a certain way to be attractive or whatever. We play all these different female archetypes, hoping. And I just gave up on that. I was like, no, I'm not. And I stopped looking. And lo and behold, one of my closest friends, who happened to be a male, there all the time, I fell in love with him, like overnight. Paul, my husband of 34 years. I stopped looking and he was there the whole time. I know this is kind of a metaphorical stretch to getting healthy, but my point is, if you take your mind off, gotta have this, I won't be happy until I have this, I've got to, and all this sort of beating yourself up and motivation and discipline. Just make it who you are. Just be who you are in this moment of a lean, strong, healthy, gorgeous female. Because whether you weigh 40 pounds more than you want to, you are that right now. It's not contingent on those 40 pounds. If that's not a part of your reality, it is time to get unstuck and do something about it. If it's not part of, you're not available for that anymore. That's what I always say. I'm not available for that. It's not like I push something away in anger or, I beat myself up if I get off track or whatever. Somebody asked me the other day, how do you sabotage yourself? And I had to think about that. And I said, I don't think I do. I used to. I know what self-sabotage is. I don't do that anymore. What happens for me is I'll get anxiety. I'll start thinking, oh, what if? As soon as that happens, I do a nanosecond mind shift. I take the power that's in me to switch my thoughts to something else, and I immediately implement that. Immediately. I don't sit with those feelings and stew in them. Also, if I get angry, okay, I'm married to the love of my life for 34 years. He's the most wonderful man, but he's a man, so he pisses me off. Am I right? If you live with a guy, he does things that are guy things. It's like not their personality. They are men. So when I get angry, I try and not react too much and get a hold of that emotion and just chill out. But it's all in my thoughts. And I've practiced that over and over and over again in my life. What do I want in my life? There's where I'm putting my attention. It's not on, I don't have any time. I'm sore every time I go to the gym. I can't stick to a diet. All of those messages you're giving yourself are a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so many of these challenges that I heard, overeating, what's going to kill my appetite, not getting discouraged, how to stay committed. Let's see, also knowing if I'm in the right well, that's a question I'll answer. Wanting to see results right away. So and trying to start, that's another big one. How do I start? These are all mindset issues. These are all blocks in front of your authentic self saying, I can't do this. Why are they there? Why did you put them there? You have the power to move those aside, move forward, and get a different result. But if you keep telling yourself, I have a sweet tooth, I'm always craving something at 4. That may be true, but stop telling yourself and start finding ways to fix it. Right? So if you have a sweet tooth at 4, instead of having a candy bar or 2 glasses of wine, have a protein shake. Try something different and quit telling yourself what you can't do or what has not been happening. I can't build muscle. You're telling your subconscious and your body, don't build muscle. If you've ever done any research on training dogs, and animal communicators say this as well as dog trainers, that when dogs seem to be able to see your thoughts, they see in pictures, this is what I read and heard, and it makes sense to me. So this is the thing. You don't say you're going to the dog park, but you're thinking it. Your dogs start going crazy. You haven't touched the leashes, and they're like, oh, dog park. You haven't even said a word. It's a thought in your head. Okay, I'm going to take them to the dog park. They see those pictures. Similarly, when you don't want, our dogs are allowed on all furniture. I know there's households where that's not allowed. At our house, it's allowed. But if it wasn't, and you tell your dog, off the furniture, you're seeing them in your mind doing what you don't want them to do. They think it means get on the furniture. And a lot of dog trainers say you need to do that positive reinforcement of on the floor. like have that picture in your mind, not off the, because all they see and hear is on the couch. So when you are telling yourself these negative, I can't lose weight, I can't, or I have a sweet, or all this other stuff, you are again putting in your subconscious that you're unable to do something you need to do to get where you say you want to go. So which is it? Figure it out. Stop talking that way. It's not just negative self-talk. It's not just, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I hate my thighs. It's also, I can't, I never. All of those sort of negative things. So you have to be really careful with your thoughts. They are powerful. I am where I am now in my health, and I will stay where I am now in my health, because every day my thoughts are gratitude for being alive, gratitude for my organ donor. That's my big why. And if I'm going to be on this planet, I want to do something worthwhile that I love, and I want to serve other people. And the people I serve are my queenagers, whether it's my posting on Instagram or it's coaching, it doesn't matter to me. I'm here to give. That's just who I am. And if I didn't have an Instagram following and I wasn't like, I don't know what you would call me, writing books and stuff like that, I would be serving, and I do serve my family and my friends. It's, to me, that's why we're here, is to give what we know to others. That's why I was an educator, a professor for 40 years. So for me, the thoughts that we carry every day are the engine of how our life is. The universe, God, whatever you want to call it, the feedback. Our life is the feedback from that one source of life force, of God's love, or whatever that then ends up manifesting in our life. No matter what your belief system is, your thoughts are powerful. We could just stop there. If someone's an atheist, which is perfectly fine, anybody's relationship with anything that's divine or they have an atheist viewpoint is private, personal, should be respected. But your thoughts are where your power is. That's where your power is. And some people find it helpful to use their spiritual grounding and foundation, whatever it may be, to help guide that. But that doesn't mean someone who's an atheist doesn't have a super tight moral compass and high ethics and wonderful being and full of love and all that. So that's the other thing. Love is a very high frequency. It's a very high vibration. When you love yourself and you love your body as it is, miracles happen. They happen. So anyway, I can really get off on tangents because I just love talking about this stuff. Some of the other fitness challenges I want to talk about: injuries. A couple of people asked about injuries. That's your number one rule when you go to the gym. Do not get injured. You do a movement. If anything hurts, stop. Don't continue with the movement. You could exacerbate something. You could really injure something. I remember before I started my fitness journey, it was 4 years ago, April. We were living in Mexico. And I was in the shower and I was trying to scrub my back with something. And I helped my arm go back. And I pushed it too far and I did something to my rotator, something in there, rotator cuff. For years, I couldn't lift my arm higher than this. And now I can get it up here, but it's not as strong as the right side. One little movement in the shower, not even lifting weights in the gym, which I hadn't started. So be gentle with your body. And if you've got fibromyalgia pain, lower back pain, there's all kinds of exercises that can be modified, especially for lower back pain, where you don't exacerbate anything you have there. I have osteopenia, okay? I mean, it's serious enough that my doctor called me in to tell me the numbers. She wouldn't even tell me over the phone. Does it stop me? No. Am I in pain? No. Weight-bearing exercises won't necessarily reverse osteoporosis or osteopenia, but it will help not make it worse. The best weight-bearing exercise you can do, the easiest, is walking. Walking. If you've got any pain, see your doctor. Find out why you have that pain. I have a dear friend that's got fibromyalgia, and she just got on some new medication from her doctor that has really helped her. If you've got issues like that, find a doctor that takes you seriously. A lot of times they don't. A tired woman in her 50s or 60s, it's all in her head, right? So I went to the doctor in my early 40s with the complaint. I'm fatigued, I have no energy, I'm tired all the time, and I just dragged myself into this appointment. They took blood, and before the blood came back, the doctor came in the room and said, with his little pad, I think you're clinically depressed. I'm gonna refer you to one of our psychiatrists. And I thought, what the hell is he talking about? I mean, luckily that's not been an issue for me. I get blue days, but the kind of debilitating depression, God love anybody that has that, it's devastating. But he saw this 40-year-old overweight woman complaining of fatigue. She's depressed. So my blood work came back, and I was severely dehydrated. I was so pissed at him. So find a doctor that takes you seriously, with your menopausal symptoms and your fibromyalgia and whatever aches and pains that you have. Don't let them write you off. And take an advocate. Take somebody with you to the doctor's appointment. They respect the patient more if they bring a family member. Isn't that awful? But it's true. And then if they want to prescribe a drug, find out everything you can about that drug. So this is part of your health care. This is part of self-care. This is part of going for optimal health and not just weight loss. Not just weight loss. That's nothing. Weight loss will be the side effect of taking care of your health. It's the big payoff. Insulin resistance. If that's a challenge for you, again, see your doctor. Look at your nutrition. Our body becomes insulin resistant because we aren't feeding it well. The pancreas gets tired of spitting out insulin and finally says, I ain't doing it. You just keep eating these high sugar foods, your blood sugar goes way up, and you expect me to squirt out the insulin to take care of it. I'm tired. I'm not doing it anymore. Look at your nutrition. What are you eating? When are you eating? Are you binge eating? Do you have low blood sugars and then overcompensate by, overeating? Type 2 diabetes can be reversed. If you're over 40 and overweight, you are predisposed to diabetes. Those are the two factors that bring on type 2 diabetes. You don't want to get diabetes. I had type 1 as an autoimmune response to serious life events when I was a kid. It did almost kill me. I would have died by the age of 40. I had all the complications. By taking care of myself and getting an organ transplant and a triple cardiac bypass, a lot of those problems were solved and reversed. And that's why when I got to 62, I thought, I've been given such a huge gift. I've got to take care of this body. You've also been given a huge gift. If you're over 50, a lot of people don't live that long. And have you noticed how many young people die these days? So young, in their 20s and 30s. And I think sometimes it's overdosing on recreational drugs. Sometimes it's suicide. Sometimes it's, cancer, other things. Nothing's promised to us. Tomorrow's not promised. And you've got to live your best life right now. Make up your mind. Put it in your heart. Do it right now. Because it could all be over tomorrow. God forbid. And here's one more little plug. I hope you guys don't mind. Sign your organ donor card. It is the most altruistic thing a human being can do. And if you, God forbid, you ever don't die in your sleep when you're 104 years old next to your partner of 80 years or whatever, I would hope that for everyone. But sign your organ donor card and tell your family. Because if you don't tell your family, they are the ones that make the decision. And it's very hard for parents to be faced with that decision when their child dies in an untimely accident and they're dealing with that. If, sometimes the child, like I used to speak to driver's ed classes, and I would tell the students that I was an organ donor recipient and the difference it made in my life. And this one kid went home and told his parents, oh, we had this speaker in driver's ed and she had this organ. If anything ever happened to me, I'd be an organ donor. And a year later, he died in a car accident. And all his parents remembered was how excited he was that he could maybe help somebody if he died young. So they let him be an organ donor. And he benefited up to 70 people, organs, bone, tissue. So anyway, that's my little plug for organ donation. A lot of people don't know that just because you sign your card doesn't mean anything. You have to tell your loved ones how you feel. So finding time, I think I've talked about that. A lot of the things about pain and getting injured is part of loving your body and being careful in the gym and not lifting too heavy. You want to get your form right first. You don't want to, start lifting weights. If you can do 12 reps and the last 2 reps are really challenging your muscles, that's a good weight to be at. But if that weight, then you're like, okay, 12, 13, 14, you can go up to 20. It's time to get a heavier weight. Get your form right first. Make sure you never round your back. Keep your shoulders back and down, your blades back and down, proud chest, tight core. And if it's not painful for your knees or your hips, do most of your upper body exercises standing, not sitting. That will help you brace your core. Of course, if you do have issues with your spine or your back or whatever, you can do exercises laying on your back so you're not putting any pressure, or sitting. So I could do a whole Instagram live on just that alone. There are so many things, so much nuance to fitness. So the last thing I'm going to say is I want to thank you guys for, so many of you have sent me, I just cry when I read these when I read these messages you send me about the book. Thank you so much for reading my book. And I'm not a professional writer. It's written in a style that just came out of me. And if you did read the book, I would love you to review it on Amazon. And that doesn't mean give me 5 stars. It just means that you read it and give your honest opinion. And I am working on a second book, because someone said, there's nothing in, there were 3 pages in here about how you transformed. I was really clear. This book is not a how-to. It's how come. Why would I start bodybuilding at age 62? And it started from childhood. I tell my whole story, everything. I tell you everything. I don't hold anything back. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed of anything I've gone through, and you shouldn't be either. It's what makes us who we are now. But the next book will be a how-to, because as much as I'd love to coach every woman that wants to get healthy and change her physique and change her life and completely transform, it's not possible. But with books, sometimes it is. And, books aren't big money makers either. They really aren't. It's a certain genre. And I will say that my book was number 8 on the bestseller list for a couple of days. And so officially I'm a best-selling author, because it's stayed in the top 25. And now I think it's in the top 100. But it's really my story of how come. And there's reflection in there where I kind of, unpack what happened and what I'm thinking and how that applies to you. And then there's journal prompts that you can think about some of the things I wish I had thought about when I was having these experiences of, losing loved ones to death and having body image issues and being in a abusive relationship and all that stuff. So, all right, you guys, I am going to save this and put it on YouTube. And I'm going to probably do another Instagram live soon, just because I haven't done them in a while. And I really love hearing how you're feeling. What are you looking for? What is it that you need? This whole Instagram social media world is really, in a way, selfish for me. It's a way for me to process this experience that I'm having and have had, being in this body, getting fit, and I've got to use that to help other people. I have to. I can't just sit with it and, oh, this is so great or whatever. I'm an educator. I have to share that information however I can. And right now, Instagram is kind of the delivery platform for that. So, all right, my loves, thank you for joining me today. It's now 3 o'clock on the dot. As a professor, I tend to, start on time and end on time. And I'm waving back to all of you. And, I have so much love for whoever you are out there. You like my sisterhood. I don't know you individually. And if I ever offend you or say something or, know that social media never gives the true, authentic energy of what a person, at least what I want to say. Because I do want to communicate with kindness and understanding and be generous. And sometimes it doesn't come off that way. Sometimes people say, I always ask this question and you never answer me. Sometimes I don't see the question. I mean, I now have 125,000 followers. Not, some of them I'm sure are bots. They're not even real people. But I can't answer all of them. And sometimes if you have a question, if you go to my story highlights, the answers are there, especially in the Q&A where I talk about, But I'll do another Instagram live where you can ask questions like that. And there's just a place where you can go. And I get asked like I said, all the time, breast implants, facelift, this, that. There needs to be a place where you can go that says, no, she's not had that. She's not. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I love you guys and I don't know you. And I think it's because I feel that we're all one. We are all one big family. No matter what country you live in, what culture you come from, what your spiritual beliefs are, we are part of a oneness that's bigger than all of us. And I feel like that's what I feel connected to. And I think I have followers that have those kind of hearts and feel connected as well. So let's just spread the love and the kindness. And a week early, happy Mother's Day to all you amazing women that are mothers to fur babies, mothers to grown children, mothers to people in your life. This is one of our superpowers, is to really care and love other people. And we got to feel good to do a good job. All right, you guys. Love you. Thank you for coming here on a Sunday. And I will be posting this in YouTube. All right. Take care. Mwah.